and welcome to this episode of Natter with Niamh. In this episode, I'm going to talk about our strengths and our weaknesses, or what I call our perceived weaknesses, and I will go into that in a little more detail in a few moments. But for some of us, it can be difficult even to list our strengths. So that's always a really good place to try and start. Because for some of us, listing our weaknesses, or what we see as our weaknesses, is really easy. And I remember when I was in the heights or depths of my depression, I could have written you page after page after page of weaknesses. But I wouldn't have been able to tell you one strength I had. I wouldn't have been able to tell you one thing I was good at. And what this has taught me, and what I now teach my clients, is that our weaknesses are not always weaknesses. In fact, I don't even see them as weaknesses anymore. Our strengths are the things that we were born with, the talents we were given, the things we have pursued because we enjoyed them and were passionate about and decided to learn more. And sometimes even the skills that we've acquired because we had to, through our jobs or through education or life. There are certain skills that we had to learn and achieve to accomplish something else. For example, some of us might have learned to touch type because it was part of our degree course or part of our education. We had to pass our computer module or whatever, and part of that was learning to touch type. I supposedly learned to touch type at university. It was a module we had, and the idea was it was supposed to make it quicker for us to type up our assessments and our dissertation, etc. It's something that I never really got the hang of. It just never clicked with me. I can type pretty quickly using the old hunt and peck method, and that suits me fine. Now that could be seen as a weakness. I consider myself a writer. You would think that touch typing would be eminently useful for somebody who considers themselves a writer. That hunt and peck would take too long. But I don't consider it a weakness, because it's not something that's ever hindered me. It's not something that's held me back from my writing. In fact, for me, the old hunt and peck version of typing works much better because it gives my brain time to process and my thoughts, and my hands time to catch up with the thoughts as well. So, yes, my typing might be quite slow, but that link between my thoughts and my typing gives me additional time to actually really see what I'm working with, especially when I'm working with poetry. It gives me a moment to see whether that word really works or whether I should choose a better one, whether I need that rhyme in that particular place or whether I need that full stop. And because it's not something that's ever affected me in my day-to-day life, really, and I've never really felt the need to actually improve or get faster at typing. The other thing I could probably say is a weakness of mine, and I will say a perceived weakness, is my inability to draw, because I never did art at school. I was never taught how to draw. Now, during my full-time teaching days, being able to draw might have been a really good asset, because I would have been able to produce a quick drawing to explain a concept to the children. But because I couldn't draw, I didn't have and I don't have that ability, I've always had to rely on my words. Being able to use different words or look at a different way, I can use my words to show something rather than actually showing it with a physical drawing. And again, it's not something that's held me back. It's not something I feel passionate about. So I've never pursued it. I could have taken art lessons at any time during my life if I wanted to, but it's kind of a bit meh for me. It's kind of one of those things I might one day. In the meantime, it doesn't affect how I live my life, so I don't view it as a weakness. Now, often when we go to job interviews, we're asked for our strengths. They'll ask you for 3 strengths. I don't know. It's a while since I've been for a job interview, but I do remember this process. Or you'd be asked about a weakness. And the idea of being asked about that weakness was so that you could reframe your weakness as something that would be of benefit to the people who were about to employ you. And that's kind of a good way of looking at weaknesses. But I prefer to look at our weaknesses not as weaknesses at all. Just as things that we can't do because actually we ain't feeling it. We're just not feeling it. And so we've never actually decided to learn. Because there are very few skills in life that we can't not learn. Does that even make sense? Most things, let's rephrase that, most things we can learn. We can learn how to draw. We can learn how to play the piano. We can learn how to touch type. We can even, most of us, learn how to sing, though I doubt how much that would work with me. You know, some of us are tone deaf, and so, yeah, we can try. But for the most part, there are a few things that we can actually say we can't learn, that we could not learn if we put our mind to it, if we really had that passion, that drive to learn to. That doesn't mean that because you've learned something you're going to be the top, you're going to be the best at it. No, your skill might still just be passable, but you can learn it. And so our weaknesses just come from us looking outside of us. They come from external perceptions. So we look around us and we see other people doing the things. Like we see other people producing amazing drawings. We see people singing and hitting those top notes and being fantastic. We see people, you know, playing Mozart at the age of 4 or 5, and we regard it as a weakness in ourselves because we can't do that. Maybe you were never meant to do that. Maybe that's not your path. Maybe you need to pay more attention to the things that you are good at, the things that you were born naturally knowing how to do, and honing those skills, leaning into those passions and doing more instead of looking for the things that you can't do. Because when we change how we see our strengths and our weaknesses, in particular our weaknesses, it changes how we see ourselves. If there's something that you can't do and you really, really want to do, you have a driving passion for it, you will learn how to do it. But if you just feel a bit meh about it, you're not going to follow it. So you can't call it a weakness, not being able to do something because you don't have the drive or the passion to follow it. So take that on board. And I mean, this comes to, like, I've been talking mostly about skills, physical things, but even when it comes to, you know, our supposed virtues, some of us just aren't meant to be patient. Some of us just don't have the resilience that others have. Some of us don't have the courage that others have. That's not weaknesses. That's just you. That's who you are. You have other things to bring to the world. Other virtues, other values, other characteristics and personality traits that the people around you value you for. But yet you're looking externally and you're looking at the other people and saying, I wish I could be like them. I wish I could do that. I wish I was more patient, more courageous. and you see that as a weakness in yourself? What if you can just embrace that as part of who you are? You're patient enough, you're courageous enough, you're brave enough, you're strong enough, you're resilient enough for who you are meant to be. So chase the things that you are good at. Chase the things that you have a passion for. Learn to love life and learn to love what you have in life rather than looking for what you can't do, because that's doing yourself down. Building yourself up is looking for the things you can do, looking at the things that bring you joy and bring you passion, and chasing those, enhancing those skills, learning the new skills if that brings you joy. If it doesn't, you can let it go. It doesn't make you any less of a person or less valuable to the world or to anybody else because you can't do something, because there are plenty of other people out there who can do it. You have your own unique set of skills, values, virtues to bring to the world, and only you can find them. And I'm going to leave you with this for today. I would love to hear your thoughts and comments on this, what you think of weaknesses and strengths and how your perception of them have affected your life, and whether anything I've said here today will change how you feel about yourself. Looking forward to speaking to you the next time. Bye for now.